How would you define your ideal kind of success as an artist?
Success, it feels like such a general word. Success in terms of monetary gain, in terms of affirmation from other people. There's nothing better than the success of feeling your own satisfaction with your life. I don't know that I would, if you described that to me as a younger person, I wouldn't have understood that. So much of affirmation comes from exterior, from other people.
Yeah.
And as you get older, and I might be unique, but in all honesty, when people tell me I'm successful or if they say that they like something I've done, it means very little. But when I was younger, it meant the world to me. You know, when someone said I didn't do a good job or I did a great job with portraits or teaching or anything, I would ride high or low on that for days.
Yep.
Where now it's barely a bump on the road because I know what I want out of my life. I know how I want my life to look. And when other people say they think I'm successful, I feel like they're naive because they don't even know what I'm after.
What is similar to success from your point of view, or what is success like?
Not to get kind of zen on it, but much of it is a frame of mind because on any given day, I can be so thankful for my health, employment. Really, as a success has to be a state of mind, and it can't be objective. It has to be subjective in nature. So it can't be quantified like you would. Now, once you say success in terms of finance or success in terms of how many likes you get on social media, that's quantifiable. But everything else is very abstract and fluid. You could find two musicians who have sell the same number of records, and one would feel like they're doing well and the other doesn't. I just dated myself saying records, but anyway.
Is there a specific piece of artwork that you did that made you feel successful? And if so, what was it and how much work did you put into it?
It's been interesting because I've had certain goals with my art. In all honesty, it kind of goes back to my earlier years when I would get into a show in New York City or I had work in California. I just felt like that. I felt like I was really moving forward. Earlier shows were really important to me, going back to really the nature of affirmation coming from an exterior source. Since then, I'll be honest with you, I think about the difficulty of shipping and the costs and the possible financial gain and the gain by other people affirming what I do, and I weigh it out. And I don't do a lot of the stuff that I would have done in the past for affirmation because I'm always like, what is my main goal? What am I mainly after? And I target it. I don't do a lot of things I would have done that would have been on the fringe looking for some kind of affirmation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, there's been some specific shows that have meant a lot. And I always like it when my work gets written about. So my favorite articles ever was by a Canadian art critic. She went to the exhibit and then proceeded to just rip my work apart. She didn't like it anyway. It's been my favorite critique ever. Another one was by a student at Purdue Fort Wayne who saw an exhibit, a faculty exhibit when I was teaching there. This student actually read the painting wrong, but it was done in such an interesting way. I felt that layer of success because people were engaged with it, whether they liked it or understood it was less important than people just being engaged with the work.
How and when do you use the term success when you're like teaching or creating art, either?
So I'm not reticent to use the word with students because they understand what it means, and we can squabble about definitions. There's a pragmatism to language that I want to utilize. So when I say, hey, I want you to be successful, rare is the student going to say, well, philosophically, what do you mean? My own boys will do that. Say, well, Dad, what do you mean by success? What is that? My secondary students aren't going to do that. So I use it as a tool to motivate and hope that they can fill that in. It's a powerful word. I think to neglect using the word does us all a disservice. If you think about it, if a student doesn't want to be successful, what does that mean? And it sure can't be a good thing for them. I can't imagine that there's a positive.
What context and which people do you associate most with the term success?
For me, it typically goes to people I know who have autonomy in their life, that they found a beauty in being a good person and giving back to their community. They're not narcissistic, engage with people that have different worldviews than them, but do it in a gentle spirit. rather than I want to be successful, I want to be safe, I want to provide for my family, I have political rights. It's all about me. It's when we can look outside of ourselves. To me, those people are successful because there's a battle to
Hmm.
get there. It's not easy. By nature, we are survival of the fittest, right? So to get outside of ourselves, to me, those people are very successful. But I enjoy the art that I do, and then I enjoy working with students. So it's a nice balance for me.
Hmm. How do you believe success functions in today's society?
So I've been to Manchai in South America, where if you're from a
Hmm.
poor family, you just don't have the same options. To get fresh drinking water, to get an education past third grade,
Yeah.
those things are just for the rich people. In the United States, I feel like we very much want to say, hey, we're trying to create options for you, and if you're willing to just meet us,
Mm.
you can be successful, and you can even determine what that means. It's one of the most beautiful things about our Stars and Stripes is that we really do try to look out for every class of person and really put options in front of them to be successful.
What would you consider to be the opposite of success for you then?
Failure feels overwhelming.
Hmm.
We either learn from it or it cripples us. The opposite of success is failure, but yet it takes failure to be successful. Failure would actually be someone who fails at learning from failure.
Yeah.
Someone who does not take failure and turn it towards an avenue for success is a person who fails, because failure is part of it. You just can't live life and hit a home run every time you step up to
Right.
the plate. It's just not going to happen. In fact, I tell students I'm one of the best people I know at being a failure, because I've failed often a lot, but what I do is I step up to the plate a lot too,
Hmm.
which makes me more vulnerable when I'm applying for something. I'm trying to get a grant, or I'm trying to get this opportunity, trying to do so many different things that I'm going to fail more often than most people do.
Has there been a time in your life when you didn't feel successful?
Middle school, elementary school, high school, I struggled academically. The irony is I went to college in Vermont,
Hmm.
Ohio, Indiana, Delaware, New Jersey. I
Okay.
have 7 years of college and art school behind me, and I loved it. But I
Hmm.
really struggled getting started. I really had a
Yeah.
hard time academically. Now I love to learn. Apparently, I learned from it because I am empathetic to that with students.
What is it about teaching art for both college or high school that makes you feel successful or happy?
I was helping intern students, and I had college students coming
Yeah.
and I was supervising them, and that was my first experience of being a teacher. And then it also taught me, hey, how interesting is this whole process of an exchange of information? It helped me to become a better student. You're working with a student, and then they get the concept or the ideas. That's fun. The other side of it is the
Hmm.
unpredictability of it. When you take hundreds of students and you're working with them, and everybody's coming in with their own worldview, their own life experiences,
Hmm.
and they do something that you just didn't predict. It's just and it's so creative, it's so original. Even I think about the work you were doing,
Hmm.
exploring medical illustration and so on, like just when you show up and you start creating these images, and I'm just like, that's not where I would have gone as a high school student, but this is powerful.
See, how did art affect you in your goals to become successful?
Well, art was really important for me just in developing my self-esteem. The irony is, like I told you before, now if
Hmm.
someone told me that my
Yeah.
art's good, it doesn't affect my self-esteem. But when I was younger, I needed that. It just takes the tension off of trying to be this person. That, at least they can acknowledge you're doing something right. You made a good sandwich, or you did something well.
Did you ever want to do like different things in your life, like before you like thought of art?
I've always wanted to be an artist, and then education came a little later. 49% of adults will change their career dramatically. A lot of college kids will change their major. I stayed the course even though I switched some of the specifics.
What was some of the specifics then?
My goal was to be an animator, very well to do that with who I was studying with and my networking and my friends. I just didn't enjoy the process of making my drawings move. I would rather just create the images. Then I floundered for a little bit. I worked in television, did computer animation for a little bit until I kind of found my path into education.
Is there anything else that you'd like to do in like the future, like any big achievements that would make you feel even more successful in life?
The interesting thing is life will throw you some curveballs that you're not thinking about. And my wife and I are very concerned about climate change, where our food comes from and how it's
Right.
produced. Our goal over the next couple of years is to start producing more of our own food. I mean, we're both very busy with our work, but when
Hmm.
we do have a little free time, we research some of those things and try to prepare for what does that look like to have fresh produce through the summer, but then also into the winter time. We were on this path before COVID. Seed companies are having
Definitely.
a hard time keeping up with selling seeds. They realize grocery stores are good if they have everything, but sometimes it's not all available. And then my concern
Hmm.
is just how healthy is the food we're eating.
Would you have any like other comments like in terms of like artist achievements that you would want to do like in the future? Or are you like,
Yeah, I'd like to publish a graphic novel that I've been working on. I don't know whether it'll be self-published or I'll get a publisher. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Stop
mhm.
really all my other art things I
Hmm.
get paid to do.
Yeah,
I do, and my art teaching, but when I have free time, I jump into this. Well, I hope my talk will help you become successful.
thank you.